Let's rock and roll. Nebula Accounting. Are you ready, sir? We're rocking.
Yes, I am.
Tell us where you're calling from, by the way.
London.
From London, England, the real London, England. Welcome. So what we're going to do is we're going to kick off the session. I'm going to hit the top of the elevator. I'll introduce myself. Okay. And we can we'll have 1 minute to kind of get your feedback, your elevator pitch. We'll give feedback and we'll try to really zero in. What happens is, as you guys know, we're a little bit off time today, but sometimes the pitch sessions go a little bit longer based on the feedback and just kind of the flow. But we kind of have rough timing today. I do apologize. I know, Donna, we spent a lot of time together. Hopefully it was valuable. Sometimes for me, it just kind of clicks. Sometimes I want to dig a little bit deeper just to kind of get the pieces going. So let's kick off, right? I'll introduce myself as a investor, okay? And you can give your elevator pitch. We'll give your feedback, and we'll go from there. All right.
Yep, sure.
All right, excellent. Good afternoon. My name is Singh. I run the private private VC firm for some of the royal family. Would like to hear more about what you're working on. I know you're doing something in accounting, and we love that. So tell me a little bit about what you're working on, sir.
Yes, sure. So hi, my name is Hiep Do. I'm the founder of Nebula Accounting. Just before we start, I just want to ask a question. Is that, did you know that 70% of director of micro businesses handle the business accounting task?
Yes.
As the micro business owners face problems with entering invoices and expense manually, bank transactions are not easily categorized for accounting or tax due to lack of knowledge as well. So with Nebula Accounting, what we provide is an all-in-one financial management business solution, from banking to investment and also business insurance platform, to effectively help micro businesses to set up, run and grow as a business, and also without navigating between different apps and platforms. Our fully integrated solution leverages AI, RPA to reduce manual entries. We also want to use chatbots and contextual walkthrough to empower users with financial and business knowledge. Our solution we introduce a first-in-market virtual receipts feature, where the receipt from merchants are automatically attached to payments within the Nebula app. I just want to quickly tell you about the market size. So the accounting software market is around $22 billion with $106 million serviceable market. And also there is 4.2 million of micro businesses in the UK, 25.7 million in the US and 21 in the EU. I believe that our solution will help to stimulate innovation and also value creation for businesses as well, and transform the accounting industry and the accountants.
Got it. Excellent. Thank you very much for sharing. And where do you need help?
So at the moment we need to source a CTO to help us to finish the MVP. We used the local bubble platform to build an MVP. However, I don't believe that it's actually scalable using the low-code platform. Plus, also we halfway through developing the AI engine using Python Tesseract as well, which is built by myself also. But I need obviously a CTO to come in to actually oversee the technical side while I'm managing other side of the business as well.
Understood. Got it. And so there's a little bit of fundraising required around that, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
And sorry, how much are you looking to?
So at the moment I'm looking for £150,000 to develop the MVP, but also we planning to apply a grant, something like a grant application in the UK, whereby the government will hopefully grant us up to £500,000 without exchange of equity as well.
Got it.
So that's additional funding I'm looking for.
Excellent. So I want to dig deep. Thank you for your pitch. Let's talk. Shall we talk a little bit? And
Yep, sure.
let's dissect a little bit about your pitch. When I think about what you're working on, micro businesses for me, and again, the way we position this is, stuff that I'm thinking from an investor's perspective, right? Usually in the real world, investors don't kind of state what's on their mind and give you that feedback. And so I want to kind of dig a little bit deeper on this, right? Because obviously we know that 95% of small businesses fail, right? We know that there's a huge failure rate. Number one reason they fail is because they run out of cash, right? And so when we look at this, when I think about the accounting package, you talked about banking, investment, and insurance. So you're providing the banking, helping them manage kind of the banking elements, right? Just making sure that they're paying their bills and getting that stuff. Are you making recommendations from an investment perspective? Tell me a little bit about banking, investment, and insurance. Insurance, I kind of get, right? You can provide the insurance pieces, but I kind of wanted to know banking, investment, and insurance, and then also how you would make money, because that didn't come out of the pitch. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sure. So the reason we want to look at the banking platform is that, well, banking investment as well, is that we want to have like an all-in-one kind of platform where micro business owners can actually first of all use the banking to basically make the payments, but also that leading to using the AI to actually reconcile the bank statements against the accounting entries as well. So, and the reason why we have the banking platform, then also from that perspective as well, we want to, in the future, we want to look at providing business loans as well, to basically charging a certain fees on the business loans, because obviously for small businesses going out to the market, it's really hard to actually get a loan if you don't have a certain sort of like criteria met within the larger sort of like commercial banks. And also we want to, with the investment side as well, we want to really encourage micro business owners, especially the self-employed side, to really invest into their future, because at the moment with the contractors as well, they tend to kind of just focus on very much on just getting paid and not really thinking about the future. So we really want to kind of encourage people to invest in themselves and also the business as well.
Yeah, when you were talking about micro business, where my mind was is I felt like that's a huge market, right? But the thought process is that it's a huge market, but there's a lot of different segments in that market. And so when I was thinking about it, because obviously you're creating a digital platform that relates to the AI and maybe some contextual bot, conversations, I was wondering how you go about mapping out the segment, right? The conversation we just had earlier with Donna, right? Like, who is that group of people that are really going to like this, right? And I'll tell you, like, where my mind was, just to kind of share, is that, there's a lot of micro businesses out there. Okay. There is, let's think about London, right? There is the mom and pop shop that sells scones, right? The local corner scone bread shop, right? You also have a lot of people that have now built very interesting micro businesses that are completely operated on WhatsApp and Instagram. Okay, right? Digital focused, digital data is available, right? So they market, and then the user experience is done digitally, right? On these more simplified platforms. They're not doing complex e-commerce sites. Okay, the people that are being powered by Amazon, being powered by Instagram, being powered by WhatsApp. There's a couple of other, Shopify, right? There's small groups of people out there that I think kind of operate, money comes in and it just kind of stays there, right?
Yep.
But when we think about AI and the conversational chatbot component and the inputs and the outputs, I feel like there's a specific group of people that would actually be really interested in making this work. Because you want to find, I'm kind of aging myself, but there was an app that was released like 10, 15 years ago called FreshBooks. Okay. I don't know if you've heard about this company.
Yep.
Okay. Don't tell me how old you were when FreshBooks launched, because I'm going to feel bad because you were probably much. But the point is they discovered, when we think about this, it's about the early adopters, right?
Yep.
And for me, I always find that when we think about it from an investor's perspective, their goal obviously is this: they're going to kind of give money. Every investor kind of has a return margin in mind. A typical venture capitalist might have a 50x or a 68x return on their money. But what they're looking for is, especially at the early stage, if you think about, if you can just visualize like, you see these movies where the person like spills fuel on the ground and he takes it all the way to the house, right? And then he takes the flame and he drops the match, drops the flame, and it takes off, right? And the flame goes and suddenly the house is on fire and blah blah blah. We've all seen that on TV, and the reason I bring that up is because I feel like that's kind of where you want to be, right? So tell me a little bit about your early adopters, right? Who do you think are going to fully leverage the technology that you've built out, right? And how are they going to be the igniters to obviously introduce this to other people, help your valuation, and prove that you are right?
Yeah, so we're looking at around, so you mentioned, which is a good, really great point about London. So we're looking at so when it comes to micro businesses, it consists of many types of businesses. So it could be self-employed, could be solo entrepreneurs, obviously like many people on these calls, on this call, or it could be any like, small sort of like pop-up shops within London. However, what we want to look at is that professional service in London.
Yeah.
So there is around 500,000 self-employed in professional service in London, just London alone. So what initially we want to focus on those segments of the market to basically to ignite that sort of like fire within the market. And also those people tend not to use a lot of the likes of QuickBooks and Xero. The reason is that they don't believe that it can provide enough features for them to be able to carry out a business themselves. So time tracking, banking, also look at investment, also providing that business insurance platform as well, that, that they have to go to different places to actually looking for an app. We have been spoken to about 20 sort of like self-employed people in the professional service. So about 15 in the legal and 5 in the banking world. And none of them actually use QuickBooks or Xero or Sage because they don't believe that the money that they pay for those subscriptions actually match with what they need or cater to exactly to all the requirements they need to run the business.
Sure.
Or to grow as well.
When I think about use cases, right? I feel like, when I think about AI, right? Because you mentioned AI, right? You also talked a little bit about some other technology that you brought up in your pitch, but you talked about AI. And, when I think about AI, when I think about machine learning, I actually feel like in 2022, there can be a very descriptive element around what people are looking to do. And there was a word that you used in your conversation, right? You were talking about like these pathways, the certain processes that people have to go through, right?
Yep.
And what I think, right, and again, just to kind of give yourself a different perspective on what you're doing, right? Even like, I love the word nebula because I'm also a Star Trek fan, and but I actually look at this less from a just direct accounting perspective, right? When I look at things, and again, this is just kind of my experience with just spending enough time with small business owners and entrepreneurs, is that a lot of us, as you mentioned correctly, get stuck into the actual work of doing my business, right? I need to sell my scones every day, okay?
Yep.
And what ends up happening is that for those of us that have been brought up in a business family, you recognize the importance of making sure of getting your accounts up to speed. You recognize the importance of planting the seeds in certain areas. You recognize all the other components. And the truth of the matter is that the business owner is so busy, they don't even have time to learn.
No.
Does that make sense?
That makes
So
sense, yeah.
when I look at what you're doing, okay, I don't see you as an accounting platform. I don't see you as an investment platform. I don't see you as an insurance platform. What I see you doing is when a micro business user, a professional, right, a micro business owner in the professional services sphere, what you are doing is you're kind of like that personal trainer. Does that make sense? And so when I think about that, it's about telling them what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and leveraging your system to kind of get them there so that they are best in class in what they're doing. Right?
Yep.
Okay?
Yep, that's correct.
So, I don't know if you had this challenge. I have Indian parents. My parents always wanted to know my ranking, when I was coming home from school. I don't know if you had the same challenge, but I'd come home with really good marks, right? And I thought I would get, but they always wanted to know how I was doing relative to everyone. Are you in Indian language, they call it the topper, right? Are you the top guy in the class? Yes. So working hard didn't matter unless I was kind of best in, and when I think about everything else that we do, right? When we think about, let's use an example of an insurance agent. Is that a professional service, a professional microservice that you would work?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Because we all know insurance agents, we can all visualize it. Your system and tools should be training that person up to be running the most efficient, right? The most efficient and effective service. And you should be able to tell them the successful guys are spending this much time in banking and insurance, all of that stuff, but they're doing it like this, okay? This is how they're managing their time, their execution, and so on and so forth. And what you are doing is you're using AI and machine learning to elevate these people and give them the training, right, on the job while they're going through it. This is where the contextual chatbots and all this stuff kind of play a role.
Yep.
But what you're doing is you're elevating them, right? And so somebody that's using your tool, it's as they go, right? Because machine learning can know where you're at right now. You might be a great insurance salesperson, but you're very bad at the paperwork, right?
Yep.
You're very bad at forecasting. And you know what? You're spending too much coffee at Starbucks. Okay. You should maybe go to the, I don't know is there something cheaper than Starbucks in the UK? I don't know what that is. Right?
They're all the same prices.
Is it? Okay. Well, you should
Costa,
you should sell from outside the Starbucks and bring some bottled water from home. I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yep. I think I do get what you're saying. I think you're correct. What we try with Nebula is that first of all, we can kind of provide all in one end-to-end kind of business solution for the people, but also to help them to learn on the job, to especially when a solo entrepreneurs who doesn't understand accounting or business at all, but you kind of take them through as the business grows as well to make sure that they are keeping their records up to date, make sure their banking reconciliation up to date, because obviously at the end of the day, auditors will come in and they will check all these things, or you still have to submit your tax at the end of each month, but
Yes.
without understanding why you're doing it and the reason why you're doing it, and also if you're doing it correctly, it's kind of like stop. I think that's kind of make the business owners to actually think about what they're doing, also to make sure that all the records are accurate as well, without being getting fined or penalties, because a lot of people, small businesses, do get up penalties in the UK and also Europe as well. I know that especially in the US with 1099, I think a lot of small businesses fail to kind of submit those
Sure.
sort of tax.
Sure. And so what happens, the just to kind of summarize my view and tell me if this makes sense, but when you use products like Xero, right, or you're using QuickBooks, there is this tool inside it where you can compare and contrast how you're operating relative to other people that are kind of in the broad industry that you're in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're in financial services, and that kind of gives you a gauge on how you're operating. And as you mentioned earlier, there's a lot of people that don't use these services, but not just knowing where you're at, but being trained up to get you there.
Yep.
So if you're an insurance agent, suddenly you're using this, you're trained up, and not just providing the services, but training the person and making sure that they are amongst the top 5% of operators in that segment. That's what Nebula does. Okay. Because if you can do that, they're going to love your product. You're going to be able to charge, right? Because if you're able to achieve that, and I also think that the lifetime value to maintain your position, right?
Yep.
Is also there. And I feel like that is in 2022, because the features and services angle is one component, but I feel like the machine learning around understanding how the person is operating and creating maybe a very simple neural pathway to kind of say, hey, this is how, in the insurance game, this is how you do it, right?
Yeah.
When you're in the bakery game, this is how you do it, right?
Yeah.
And you keep on building this up based on best in class. And then exactly who's going to pay for it, how much they're going to pay for it, and you can kind of drive that accordingly, right?
Yep.
And that's kind of the process that I think about when I think about where things should be, right? How AI and machine learning should be used for microservices, right?
Yeah. I think to your point as well, I think what we're trying to do with the accounting platform, just purely based on that side, is to basically, just simply having the AI OCR. But what we're trying to go forward is that to things like reminding people of submitting their tax, and if you don't do this because of this, because you get a penalty or get fined or this and that, and also provide that financial insight in the future as well. This is your trend because you're earning for this much for the last 6 months, but in going forward, you're going to earn this much. And also looking at that, segmenting out that tax sort of like amount, and also what true revenue to that person would be at the end of each month. I think that's really important, because at the moment, someone have to actually sit there and manually work out how much you have to pay tax, how much of this, that sort of thing as well, and training up on that, understanding how VAT works as well.
But that's the point, right? Like, it's about people's propensity to learn, right?
Yep.
There are some people that you can throw an accounting textbook. I don't know if those books are very difficult to read, but you have to know the person's time availability and understanding on certain concepts. And that's where your intelligence comes from.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you can build that, I feel that is a very valuable thing, right? Being able to guide these people. And I think it's not just good for them. I think it's also good for business, right? There's so many business owners out there. I speak to probably around between 500 to 1,000 founders a month. And it startles me. I see some brilliance out there they're great creators, but they're terrible operators. Okay. And that's kind of where you kind of come into play, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I would position your product, leveraging the technologies of the day. Now, would you like me to pitch this idea back to you? Would you like me to?
Yes, please. Yeah.
You're looking for $150,000, right? Just to kind of finalize, build out your
250,000
250,000 pounds, right?
pounds. Yeah, it's the same now within US dollars. So
I know, sadly.
after our PM crashed our markets.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. We won't go political, but there was a time when I used to enjoy getting paid in euros and pounds, but now it's pretty much all the same. So I'm going to try to pitch this, but I want to kind of focus on the outcomes, right? That we're going to do. You can introduce yourself, right? Again, I'll try to keep it within 1 minute, Christine. I will give a couple of extra sound bites, but I'll keep the pitch within the 1 minute, 1 minute and 30 seconds. All right. So Hiep, over to you, sir. You're going to introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Hiep. I'm one of the investors in the venture capitalist.
Yeah.
Can you introduce yourself and the business and what actually Nebula Accounting does, please?
Yes. Excellent. Thank you for your time, sir. My name is Singh, and I'm part of the Nebula Accounting team. As you know, there are, especially even after COVID, there are millions and millions of micro businesses here in the UK, ranging from people that sell insurance to running a bakery store to a fashion shop on Instagram. And what we've discovered is that, and this is knowledge that you probably know as well, is 95% of startups fail within the first 3 years. And what I've discovered through the process is actually it's not necessarily the product itself, it's usually the operations of the business. And so Nebula is a platform that we've created that actually allows machine learning and AI to help train micro business owners to help develop, operate more efficiently and more effectively to ensure that they're making the right banking, investment, and insurance decisions. But most importantly, they are going to be, as they work, for instance, in the insurance space, we have developed a process to help people learn as they need to learn, but most importantly, work towards being amongst the top 1% in their industry. Okay. And we're the only people that have been able to do this for micro businesses. We think that this is going to be the next wave of accounting services, because a lot of micro business, the 4.4 million plus micro businesses in the UK are looking for solutions for this. We also think that this is going to do a social good for society. We think that there's going to be a lot of value to create and make sure that more businesses stay around. And more importantly, I think that also helping UK become more competitive in the global ecosystem as we have smarter operators. We've got the system and processes already mapped out. We're looking for £250,000 to build the next stage of our product. And we'd love to chat to you about how we can make this work and show you our thought process as such. Thank you. All right, so that's my Nebula Accounting pitch. Okay, I went deep on that piece, right? I went deep on the training, on the person, on their value. Okay, what I didn't talk about is that if I do that well, what does that mean from a financial standpoint for us as well, right? The lifetime value and the how much people would pay for this, right? That's something that you can focus on, but that's where I see this. I think that that's kind of the essence and where I would go with this, based on what we've spoken about today. So thank you again for your time today, and hope to see the Nebula platform, making waves in the UK, transforming micro businesses. And we look forward to being part of your success. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Not just the UK, by the way. We want to expand.
Of course. Yes. We win. Let's win in the UK first, right?
Exactly.
And then we'll help you get to the markets that you're looking for, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.